Did you know that Cadillac built cars so wild, so ahead of their time, that they locked them away instead of putting them on the road? Hidden prototypes, futuristic luxury machines, and concepts that could have changed American automotive history forever. Yet they never made it past the boardroom doors. Today, we're cracking open that secret vault and looking at 10 legendary Cadillacs that never got the green light. Buckle up, because this is the Cadillac history you were never meant to see. Before we dive into these automotive masterpieces, you need to understand what we're dealing with here. These aren't just pretty show cars that were never meant for production. We're talking about fully functional prototypes, revolutionary concepts, and engineering marvels that Cadillac spent millions developing, only to kill them at the last minute. Some were too expensive, others were too radical for conservative buyers, a few were simply ahead of their time by decades. But every single one of these cars represents a missed opportunity that could have changed not just Cadillac's future, but the entire luxury car market. And here's the kicker. While Cadillac was playing it safe, their competitors were taking risks and eating their lunch. BMW, Mercedes, even Lexus when they came along, all built their reputations on the kind of bold moves Cadillac was too scared to make. So let's start with number one. And trust me, this first car will blow your mind. Car number one, Cadillac 16. First up is the Cadillac 16, and this beast was everything American luxury should have been in the 2000s. Picture this. A massive, imposing sedan that looked like it could transport a head of state or a mob boss with equal authority. The 16 wasn't just about looks, though it had those in spades. Under that long, sculpted hood sat a monster, a 13.6-liter V16 engine producing 1,000 horsepower. Let me repeat that. 1,000 horsepower. In 2003. When most luxury cars were making 300, this wasn't some stripped-down race car either. The interior was pure Cadillac opulence, hand-stitched leather everywhere, real wood trim, and enough rear seat space to hold a board meeting. The thing was 18 feet long and rode on 24-inch wheels that looked like they belonged on a concept car from the future. But here's where it gets interesting. Cadillac actually had the technology to build this thing. The engine was real, the platform was feasible, and the demand was there. Ultra-wealthy buyers were begging for something that could go toe-to-toe with Rolls-Royce and Bentley. So why didn't they build it? Simple. Fear. GM's bean counters looked at the development costs and the relatively small market and said no. They were worried about fuel economy regulations, manufacturing complexity, and whether Americans would actually buy a $300,000 Cadillac. Spoiler alert, they would have. Look at what happened when Bentley brought back the Mulsanne, or when Rolls-Royce launched the Phantom. The ultra-luxury market was hungry for exactly what the 16 offered. Instead, Cadillac played it safe with the S, TS, and DTS. Decent cars, but nothing that made anyone's pulse quicken. Meanwhile, their competitors owned the high-end market that Cadillac had basically invented decades earlier. Car number two, Cadillac Sienne. Now, let's talk about the Cadillac Sienne, a car so radical it made the Corvette look conservative. This was Cadillac's answer to Ferrari, Lamborghini, and every other exotic supercar manufacturer who thought American luxury brands couldn't build serious performance machines. The Sienne was pure science fiction made real. Mid-mounted 7.5-liter, V12 engine producing 750 horsepower, carbon fiber body that looked like it was carved by the wind itself, scissor doors that opened like wings, and a top speed that Cadillac claimed would exceed 200 miles per hour. But this wasn't just a pretty face. The engineering was serious business. The chassis was a carbon fiber monocoque, the same technology used in Formula One cars. The suspension was fully active, adjusting thousands of times per second. Even the aerodynamics were wind tunnel tested to perfection. The interior was where Cadillac really showed their luxury DNA. While other supercars had stripped down race car interiors, the Sienne featured handcrafted leather, real aluminum trim, and enough comfort features to make it a genuine Grand Tour. Here's what really gets me about this car. It would have completely changed how the world viewed American performance cars. Imagine pulling up to a cars and coffee event in a Cadillac that could outrun a Gallardo and outluxury a Continental GT. But once again, Cadillac got cold feet. The development costs were massive, the market was small, and GM was going through one of their periodic financial crises. They decided to focus on SUVs and mainstream sedans instead. Car number three, Cadillac Voyage. Let's jump back to 1988 and talk about the Cadillac Voyage, a concept that was so far ahead of its time, it's still futuristic today. This was Cadillac's vision of what luxury transportation would look like in the 21st century, and honestly, they nailed it. The Voyage looked like something from Blade Runner. Low, sleek, and impossibly sophisticated. But the real innovation was under the skin. This car featured drive-by-wire technology, meaning there was no mechanical connection between the steering wheel and the wheels, or the pedals and the brakes. Everything was electronic. Now, that might not sound revolutionary today, but remember, this was 1988. Most cars still had carburetors. Anti-lock brakes were cutting-edge technology. The idea of a car controlled entirely by computers was pure science fiction. The interior was even more radical. Instead of traditional gauges, everything was displayed on screens. The seats adjusted automatically based on biometric sensors that read your body position. The climate control system could create different temperature zones for each passenger. And get this, the Voyage had what Cadillac called predictive navigation. Using early GPS technology and traffic data, it could calculate the fastest route to your destination and adjust automatically for traffic conditions. Sound familiar? That's because it's basically what every car has today. But Cadillac was thinking about it 35 years ago. The powertrain was equally forward-thinking. Instead of a traditional V8, the Voyage used a small, efficient V6 paired with an electric motor, essentially making it one of the first luxury hybrid concepts ever built. So why didn't this revolutionary car make it to production? The technology wasn't quite ready for prime time, and the costs would have been astronomical. But more importantly, Cadillac's customer base in 1988 wasn't ready for this level of change. They wanted their Cadillacs big, comfortable, and familiar. The tragedy is that if Cadillac had pushed forward with even some of these technologies, they could have been the Tesla of luxury cars decades before Tesla existed. Car number 4, Cadillac Le Mans. Now, we're going way back to 1953 and the Cadillac Le Mans, a car that could have changed the entire trajectory of American sports cars. This wasn't just a concept, it was Cadillac's serious attempt to build a world-class racing machine that could compete at Le Mans and other international circuits. The Le Mans was built around Cadillac's new overhead valve, V8, the same engine that was revolutionizing American performance. But in the Le Mans, it was tuned for racing. Lightweight components, high compression heads, and multiple carburetor setups that could produce serious horsepower. The body was pure function over form, designed in a wind tunnel to slice through the air as efficiently as possible. It was low, wide, and aggressive. Everything that Cadillac's production cars weren't. The interior was stripped down to the essentials, with racing seats, a roll cage, and instrumentation focused entirely on performance. Here's what makes this car so significant. It was developed right around the same time that Chevrolet was working on the Corvette. Imagine if instead of just Chevy having America's sports car, Cadillac had their own high-performance machine to compete with Jaguar, Ferrari, and Porsche. The Le Mans actually performed well in testing. It was fast, handled beautifully, and looked the part of a serious racing machine. Cadillac even had plans to build a limited production run for wealthy enthusiasts who wanted to go racing on weekends. But then reality set in. Cadillac's brand image was built around luxury, comfort, and prestige. Their customers weren't asking for race cars. They wanted the biggest, most comfortable cars money could buy. The marketing department worried that a racing Cadillac would confuse the brand message. So the Le Mans was shelved, and Cadillac focused on building land yachts for the next several decades. Meanwhile, Porsche built their entire reputation on racing success, and Ferrari became synonymous with performance and exclusivity. The what if here is staggering. If Cadillac had committed to performance in the 1950s, they could have owned both the luxury and performance markets. Instead, they ceded performance to others, and eventually lost the luxury market too. Car number 5, Cadillac Cyclone, XP74. The Cadillac Cyclone. XP74 from 1959 represents everything that was wild and wonderful about American automotive design in the late 50s. The Cyclone looked like it had just landed from Mars. The body was a sleek, missile-shaped design with a clear bubble canopy instead of traditional windows. The front end featured radar-guided collision avoidance, and I'm not kidding about that. This car had actual radar sensors that could detect obstacles and warn the driver. But the real party trick was the canopy. Instead of doors, the entire top section of the car hinged forward, giving you access to the cockpit. Once inside, you felt like you were piloting a spacecraft rather than driving a car. The dashboard was a curved array of gauges and switches that looked more like mission control than anything Detroit had ever produced. The powertrain was pure Cadillac muscle, a 390 cubic inch V8 that produced serious horsepower for 1959. But the Cyclone wasn't just about straight-line speed. The chassis was designed for handling, with independent suspension all around, and a low center of gravity that made it surprisingly nimble. Here's what really gets me about this car. It predicted so many technologies that we take for granted today. Collision avoidance systems, heads-up displays, even the basic concept of a high-performance luxury coupe. Cadillac was thinking about all of this in 1959. The public reaction was incredible. When the Cyclone appeared at auto shows, crowds would gather 3 deep just to get a look at it. The automotive press went crazy, calling it the car of the future. Even international observers were impressed by American innovation. So why didn't it make production? The same old story: cost and complexity. The radar system alone would have added thousands to the price, and the unique body construction would have required entirely new manufacturing processes. But more than that, Cadillac was making a fortune selling conventional luxury cars to buyers who wanted chrome, comfort, and status symbols. Why risk that success on something as radical as the Cyclone? Car number 6. Cadillac Image Concept. The year 2000 brought us the Cadillac Image concept, and this car was Cadillac's bold attempt to redefine what a luxury sedan could be in the new millennium. The name Image was image, spelled backwards, and that wasn't just clever wordplay. It represented Cadillac's desire to completely flip their image and show the world they were ready for the future. The Image was unlike anything Cadillac had ever built. Instead of the traditional 3-box sedan design, this was a sleek 4-door coupe with a dramatically sloped roofline and muscular proportions. At 16 feet long, it had serious presence, but the design was clean and modern rather than the chrome-heavy styling Cadillac was known for. But the real innovation was in the doors. The Image featured what Cadillac called portal doors. The front doors opened conventionally, but the rear doors were suicide doors that opened backwards. When all 4 doors were open, it created a dramatic portal effect that made entering the car feel like stepping into a luxury lounge. Under the hood sat a supercharged 4.6-liter Northstar V8, producing 425 horsepower. Serious power for 2000. But this wasn't just about straight-line performance. The Image featured Cadillac's most advanced chassis technology, including magnetic ride control that could adjust the suspension thousands of times per second for the perfect balance of comfort and handling. The interior was where Cadillac really showed their luxury ambitions. The cabin was designed around what they called personal luxury zones. Each seat was essentially its own environment, with individual climate control, entertainment systems, and even aromatherapy dispensers. The rear seats could recline almost flat and featured built-in massage functions. The technology was incredibly advanced for 2000. The Image featured a heads-up display that projected information onto the windshield, voice recognition that could control everything from the radio to the phone, and even early versions of what we now call smartphone integration. The car could download your calendar, make restaurant reservations, and even adjust the interior lighting based on your mood. But here's what made the Image truly special. It felt like a genuine luxury experience, not just an expensive car. Every detail was designed to make the occupants feel pampered and important. The seats adjusted automatically when you approached the car. The climate control system could detect your body temperature and adjust accordingly. Even the sound system was tuned specifically for the Image's interior acoustics. The public reaction was incredible. When the Image debuted at auto shows, crowds would gather just to see those dramatic portal doors open. Automotive journalists praised its innovative design and advanced technology. Even luxury car buyers who had never considered a Cadillac were intrigued by what they saw. Market research showed there was definitely demand for this kind of car. Wealthy buyers were looking for alternatives to the German luxury sedans that dominated the market, and the Image offered something genuinely different: American luxury, with cutting-edge technology and dramatic styling. So why didn't it make production? The same old story that plagued so many Cadillac concepts: cost and complexity. The portal door system would have been expensive to manufacture and potentially problematic for safety regulations. The advanced technology would have added thousands to the production cost, and GM was going through another period of financial uncertainty. Car number 7. Cadillac Elmirage. Fast forward to 2013, and Cadillac was finally starting to remember what made them great. The Elmirage concept was their attempt to recapture the magic of classic American luxury coupes, and man, did they nail the execution. The Elmirage was everything a modern Cadillac should be: long, low, and impossibly elegant. The proportions were perfect, with a long hood, short deck, and flowing roofline that managed to look both contemporary and timeless. This was a car that could have gone head-to-head with the best from Bentley or Aston Martin. The powertrain was serious business too: a twin-turbo 4.5-liter V8, producing 500 horsepower. But unlike the brutal power delivery of earlier Cadillac concepts, the Elmirage was designed for sophisticated performance. The power came on smoothly and progressively, making it a genuine grand tourer rather than just a straight-line monster. The interior was pure luxury theater. Hand-cut and sewn leather covered every surface, with contrast stitching that highlighted the craftsmanship. Real wood trim was used sparingly but effectively, and the overall design managed to feel both opulent and modern. The seats were designed for long-distance comfort, with heating, cooling, and massage functions that rivaled the best luxury sedans. But here's what made the Elmirage special. It felt like a real Cadillac. Not a copy of a German luxury car, not an attempt to chase European trends, but a distinctly American interpretation of what a luxury coupe should be. It had presence, character, and that indefinable quality that made classic Cadillacs so desirable. The public reaction was overwhelmingly positive. Automotive journalists praised its design, luxury car buyers expressed genuine interest, and even European competitors admitted it was a serious piece of work. This was a car that could have put Cadillac back on the luxury map in a meaningful way. So why didn't it happen? By 2013, Cadillac was focused on building their lineup around sedans and SUVs. The coupe market was seen as too small to justify the investment, especially for a brand that was still rebuilding its credibility. They decided to put their resources into the ATS and CTS sedans instead. The tragedy is that the luxury coupe market was actually growing, not shrinking. Cars like the BMW 6 Series, Mercedes S-Class Coupe, and Bentley Continental were all selling well to exactly the kind of customers Cadillac needed to attract. The El Mirage could have been their entry into that exclusive club. Instead, Cadillac continued to chase the German brands in segments where they were already established, rather than creating their own niche in the luxury coupe market. Car number 8, Cadillac Escala. The Cadillac Escala from 2016 represents one of the most frustrating missed opportunities in recent automotive history. This wasn't just another pretty concept car. It was a fully developed prototype that could have been Cadillac's flagship sedan, their answer to the Mercedes S-Class and BMW 7 Series. The Escala was massive, measuring over 210 inches long, but it wore its size gracefully. The design was sophisticated and modern, with clean lines and subtle details that spoke to quality and craftsmanship. This looked like a car that could command six-figure prices and compete with the best luxury sedans in the world. Under the hood was a twin-turbo 4.2-liter V8, producing 500 horsepower, paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission. But the real innovation was in the chassis. Magnetic ride control, air suspension, and all-wheel drive combined to create a driving experience that was both comfortable and engaging. The interior was where Cadillac really showed their ambition. Hand-wrapped leather covered every surface, with contrast stitching and piping that highlighted the attention to detail. Real wood trim was used throughout, and the rear seats featured individual climate controls, entertainment systems, and even fold-out tables for business travelers. But the technology was what really set the Escala apart. The car featured Cadillac's most advanced infotainment system, with curved OLED displays that could be customized for each user. The car could learn your preferences and adjust everything from seat position to climate control automatically. The autonomous driving features were impressive too. The Escala could handle highway driving with minimal input from the driver, and it featured advanced safety systems that could prevent accidents before they happened. Market research showed there was definitely demand for this kind of car. Luxury sedan buyers were looking for alternatives to the German brands, and American executives wanted something that reflected their success and status. The Escala could have filled that role perfectly. So what went wrong? Cadillac's parent company, GM, was going through another strategic shift. They were focusing on electric vehicles and autonomous driving technology, and a traditional luxury sedan didn't fit their vision of the future. The resources that could have gone to the Escala were redirected to electric vehicle development instead. The result? Cadillac still doesn't have a true flagship sedan, and they're still chasing German competitors in segments where they're already established. Meanwhile, Genesis launched with exactly the kind of luxury sedan that the Escala could have been, and they're gaining market share that should have belonged to Cadillac. Car number 9, Cadillac CL. Let's talk about the Cadillac CL from 2011, a car that represented everything Cadillac could have been if they'd had the courage to embrace their own heritage. The name CL is French for sky, and this convertible concept was designed to capture the open-air luxury that made classic American cars so desirable. The CL was massive, over 18 feet long, but it wore its size.
The exterior of the Cadillac CL.
This was a four-door convertible, a body style that had virtually disappeared from the luxury market, and Cadillac executed it flawlessly. The proportions were perfect, with a long hood, flowing fenders, and a dramatic boat-tail rear end that looked like it belonged on a custom yacht. But this wasn't just about pretty styling. The CL was built on Cadillac's most advanced platform, featuring a lightweight aluminum space frame that kept weight down despite the car's massive size. The lack of a fixed roof actually made the structure more challenging to engineer, but Cadillac's team created a chassis that was both rigid and refined. Under the hood sat a twin-turbo 3.6-liter V6 hybrid system, producing 425 horsepower. Now, some people might have expected a big V8 in a car like this, but the hybrid powertrain was actually brilliant. It provided serious performance while delivering fuel economy that would have been impossible with a traditional large displacement engine. The interior was pure luxury theater. Instead of traditional bucket seats, the CL featured 4 individual captain's chairs, that looked more like furniture from a high-end yacht than car seats. Each seat could heat, cool, massage, and adjust in dozens of ways. The rear seats even featured fold-out tables and individual entertainment screens. But the real magic happened when you put the top down. The CL transformed from an elegant sedan into an open-air luxury lounge. The interior was designed to look beautiful from above, with hand-stitched leather, real wood trim, and even silk fabric accents that caught the light beautifully. The technology was impressive too. The CL featured Cadillac's most advanced infotainment system, with touch-sensitive surfaces throughout the cabin that could control everything from the audio system to the climate control. The car even had a built-in champagne chiller and crystal glasses for rear passengers. Because why not? Here's what made the CL so special. It represented a uniquely American interpretation of luxury. While European convertibles focused on sport and performance, the CL was about comfort, space, and making a statement. This was a car for people who wanted to arrive in style and be noticed. The public reaction was overwhelmingly positive. When the CL appeared at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, it stopped traffic. Luxury car buyers who hadn't looked at a Cadillac in years were suddenly interested. Even automotive journalists, who were typically critical of American luxury cars, admitted the CL was something special. Market research showed there was definitely demand for this kind of car. Ultra-wealthy buyers were looking for alternatives to the typical German and British luxury convertibles. The CL offered something no one else had: American luxury with modern technology and timeless style. So why didn't it make production? By 2011, Cadillac was focused on rebuilding their brand around sports sedans and crossover SUVs. The convertible market was seen as too small and too risky for a brand that was still trying to establish credibility with younger buyers. But here's the tragedy. The CL could have been exactly what Cadillac needed to differentiate themselves from the competition. While BMW, Mercedes, and Audi were all building similar sports sedans and crossovers, Cadillac could have owned the ultra-luxury convertible market. Instead, they chose to compete head-to-head with established German brands in segments where those brands were already dominant. The result? Cadillac continued to struggle for market share while missing the opportunity to create their own exclusive niche. The CL represented everything that made classic American luxury cars desirable: space, comfort, style, and presence. If Cadillac had built it, they could have reminded the world why American luxury was once the standard that everyone else tried to match. Instead, it remains another beautiful dream, locked away in Cadillac's concept car vault, a reminder of what could have been if they'd had the courage to be truly different. Car number 10, Cadillac World Thorium Fuel. Our final car is perhaps the most ambitious concept Cadillac ever created, the World Thorium Fuel concept from 2009. This wasn't just a car, it was Cadillac's vision of how nuclear technology could revolutionize personal transportation. The WTF, as it was known internally, was designed around a thorium-powered laser engine that could theoretically run for 100 years without refueling. The thorium would power lasers that heated air to create thrust, essentially making the car a ground-based jet engine. The design was appropriately futuristic, a sleek, low-slung body with no traditional wheels. Instead, the car rode on 6 spherical pods that could rotate in any direction, allowing for incredible maneuverability. The car could literally move sideways, rotate in place, or even climb over obstacles. The interior was designed like a luxury lounge rather than a traditional car cabin. The seats could recline completely flat. There was a full entertainment system with holographic displays, and the car could even prepare meals using the excess heat from the thorium reactor. But the real innovation was in the autonomous driving system. The WTF was designed to be completely self-driving, using a combination of radar, LiDAR, and satellite navigation to get you anywhere you wanted to go. You could literally sleep through your commute. The environmental benefits were staggering too. Since thorium produces no carbon emissions and the fuel would last for decades, the WTF would have had virtually zero environmental impact over its lifetime. Of course, the practical challenges were enormous. Nuclear-powered cars would require massive regulatory approval. The technology was largely theoretical, and the public wasn't ready for radioactive vehicles in their driveways. But here's what's fascinating about the WTF. It represented Cadillac thinking bigger than anyone else in the industry. While other manufacturers were focused on incremental improvements to existing technology, Cadillac was imagining a completely different future for transportation. The concept generated enormous publicity and showed that Cadillac was still capable of bold, innovative thinking. It positioned them as a forward-thinking brand that wasn't afraid to tackle the biggest challenges facing the automotive industry. Unfortunately, like so many Cadillac concepts, the WTF never made it past the prototype stage. The company decided to focus on more conventional hybrid and electric technologies instead. So there you have it, 10 legendary Cadillacs that never made it to your driveway. But as we look back at these incredible machines, a pattern emerges that tells us everything we need to know about why Cadillac lost their way. Every single one of these cars represented an opportunity for Cadillac to lead rather than follow. The 16 could have established them in the ultra-luxury market. The Sienne could have made them a serious player in the supercar world. The El Mirage could have given them a flagship coupe to rival the best from Europe. Instead, time after time, Cadillac chose the safe path. They worried about costs, about market size, about whether their traditional customers would accept change. Meanwhile, their competitors were taking exactly the kinds of risks that Cadillac was avoiding. Look at what happened. BMW built their reputation on the ultimate driving machine philosophy and took over the luxury performance market. Mercedes focused on technology and innovation and became synonymous with cutting-edge luxury. Even newer brands like Lexus and Genesis succeeded by doing exactly what these Cadillac concepts proposed, building cars that were better, more advanced, and more desirable than what was currently available. The tragedy is that Cadillac had the engineering talent, the financial resources, and the brand heritage to build any of these cars. They had everything except the courage to take risks. But here's the thing, it's not too late. Cadillac is finally starting to remember what made them great in the first place. Cars like the CT5V Blackwing and the Escalade show that they're capable of building world-class luxury and performance vehicles. The question is whether they'll have the courage to take the big swings that these concept cars represented. Will they build the next 16, or will they play it safe with another crossover SUV? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The automotive world would be a much more interesting place if even half of these legendary Cadillacs had made it to production. What do you think? Which of these cars would you most want to see in your garage? And do you think Cadillac will ever have the courage to build something this bold again? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into automotive history, make sure to subscribe for more stories about the cars that could have changed everything.